Hey Wild Souls, this is L
and Kerri,
your host of Seasonal Reflections. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or a curious soul taking your first steps on this path, Seasonal Reflections is your compass to navigate the ever-turning wheel of life.
And if you're ready to explore the intersection of science and spirituality, then we invite you to listen to our podcast and become part of our community. We're creating a space where myths come to life and your connection with nature deepens.
Hey Wild Souls, I'm Elle.
And I'm Kerri. Welcome back to Seasonal Reflections. In the previous episode, Elle and I explored Ostara, the spring equinox, and the renewal it brings. We discussed astrological transits, such as the full moon in Libra and the new moon in Aries, and their significance in influencing one's life. We also noted the interconnectedness between Irish American and Women's History Month with Ostara, paying homage to resilient Irish American women and influential figures. Additionally, we examined the symbolism of stinging nettles and offered practical tips for decorating altars and spaces for Ostara. We then ended the episode with ways to connect and give back to nature. So, Elle, how have you been since our last episode, and how was your Ostara?
Well, we adopted a little kitty, as you know,
Yes.
for Ostara. That was our big thing this year. It is a goofy, is a goofy orange cat that my kids have named Marshall, which I did not have any vote in. It's fine. He looks like a little tiger, and I love him dearly. And he fits right in our family. It took like zero time. I mean, he's ornery, but so that was how we celebrated. We adopted a cat.
Right. His markings are truly beautiful too. Like there's something, I've said this before, but I'm telling the listeners that they're very striking markings. So when people say their orange cat looks like a tiger, I feel like yours is the epitome of that.
He really does. Like sometimes I'll see like little ads that pop up on my phone with orange cats, and I'll be like, is that my cat? I'm like, no, obviously it's not my cat, but he does look like a little, like he could be like a little kitty star.
Yeah.
You should start him an Instagram page. Just kidding. I won't do that.
Elle and I did a very simple Ostara, gentle yoga and a brunch together, which is what I needed. I remember it was really busy that week, so I find it lovely that I can adapt these celebrations to what I want. In other matters of my life, things are going pretty well for the most part. You know, life brings its challenges, but the kids and I have managed to overcome any obstacles and inconveniences like broken down AC units and surgeries and such. We are thankfully in pretty good health right now, which is good. The projects I'm working on are finally making some decent progress, so I'm excited about what's to come. And of course, you know my birthday is coming up, so whoop, whoop. Happy birthday, fellow Taurians. I hope you have an amazing birthday. As Elle knows, I'm headed to Chicago with a good friend, so I'm very excited. We've booked some great things to do while there. I cannot wait. Week and a half, baby. Or week now.
That is so exciting. I saw you kind of look at me fishing.
Like, wait a minute.
We did do something for Ostara. You were eclipsed by the cats. So sorry. We also had a lovely little adventure up to Asheville where we saw some great music and did some really fun things. So
we did. That was a great time. We need to go back and hike that trail.
We do.
Yeah. So what's next on our astrological adventures of the year?
Well, as most of you probably felt, the Scorpio full moon was yesterday out in all its pink glory. Do you know why it's called the pink moon?
No.
I don't either, but it was pink last night.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. If anyone knows why, go ahead and throw it in the comments. And it was an intense one, asking us just one more time, what can we let go of? What no longer serves us? And how can we transform what is left? Because everything that happens to us, even if we're letting it go, is a part of us, right? So how do we use that energy to transform it into who or where we want to be? So quick story time. I went to hot yoga yesterday, and every once in a while I'll pop in. There's a studio pretty close to my house, and I know the people there pretty well, so I can just kind of pop in, which is nice because I've been going on and off for the last few years. And today it was really quiet. There were only 4 of us, and everyone that was in class happened to be yoga teachers, so it was a pretty advanced class, and we all knew what we were doing, and the energy was intense, fitting for a Scorpio full moon. So when I went in and I was feeling like really ragey, like something was just, I was holding on to things. As I was telling you a minute ago, I've been holding space for people. This is very much a Scorpio energy, right? If you have Scorpio friends or people with a lot of Scorpio in your chart, you probably feel really comfortable with them. And we are very accommodating to let people confide within us. We're kind of the natural therapists of the zodiac, and Taureans too, being the sister sign. And I don't know if I just had too much of space I was holding and I just couldn't, like my vessel was too full or what. So I was feeling this before I went in, and about a quarter way through the class, I had this urge and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope she doesn't do any adjustments. I just did not want anyone touching me today. So I sat with that for a second and I was like, why don't I want anyone touching me? And where does that come from? Because normally I don't really mind adjustments, and rarely do teachers do them anyways. So when we were at the end of class and we were doing this like sitting straddle, and you're just sitting there with your legs out to the side and bending forward, I asked the teacher to come over and just kind of push on me gently. And she put her palm on the base of my spine and pushed. And there was this like loud cracking sound, like my hip was going back into its socket. So much so that I was like, holy shit, like very loudly in the middle of yoga. And she asked if I was okay. And I said I was fine. And she just kept pushing. And I was like, no, I'm good now. And I don't know if she didn't hear me or what, but she just kept pushing, and her hands like gently up my spine. And as I'm going forward, I really wanted to resist this. And I was like, I'm just going to lean into it because it hurts so good. But seriously, it sounded like my leg had broken for a second, and it hurt like hell. And I'm still sore today. But I think it's a really good metaphor for Scorpio energy. And being a Scorpio, I'm well versed in this transformative push through kind of situations. So with the Libra full moon and then the Aries new moon, both big eclipses, and honestly, anything that we started when the sun was in Scorpio 6 months ago, if there's anything that's coming back up from that time, think about what you were doing in late October, early November, that you're still working through, or things that are coming up from the eclipse month that we just need to push through. I know it hurts and I know it's hard, but once you get to the other side, you might be a little sore, but know that you can do it. You can get through it. So I'm pretty sure that sound was my hip slipping back into alignment because it had just been so off for so long. And basically, listen to your intuition and your body, but push through when it gets hard, and don't be afraid to ask for help. So other notable sky journeys is Mercury turns direct on April 25th. Thank the stars. It's still going to be in Aries, so it might feel as the veil has been lifted, sparking passionate ideas and impacting studies and travel. Then we see Mercury moving into Taurus on May 16th. Expect conversation, thoughts, and daily travel to slow down and switch from passion to more logic, with a little less drama and a lot more thought. But be mindful about your opinions, though. Mercury in this fixed sign of Taurus can lead to inflexible thinking. Venus in Taurus on April 29th, the planet of love and beauty, will be entering her own sign, moving into Taurus. It can influence relationships in many ways and can make us a little more sensual. It can remind us of our sensuality and encourage us to incorporate more physical pleasure in our daily lives. Venus can also boost our charisma and magnetism, making us a little more charming. It can inspire change in relationships and help you look at challenges and promote an opportunity for healing. Venus in Taurus is a cozy time. So it's a good time you might want to be drawn to creature comforts like food, warm blankets, curling up with a good book, and it's a good time for self-care. And then we have the new moon in Taurus on May 7th, and this is one of my favorite new moons. It intensifies our desire for pleasure, decadence, and creativity. Taurus rules accumulation, including money, material comforts, and real estate. So if you are thinking of planting seeds for the new moon or doing some spell work, this is probably one of the best times of the year to do an abundance or money spell. Just remember, setting an intention is good, but the real magic happens when our actions are in line with our intentions. Money isn't just going to fall from the sky. You have to work for it. You don't have to work yourself to the bone for it, but you have to work for it. Some shadow work could include releasing scarcity mindset, recognizing self-worth, releasing stubbornness, and having patience. This is a time for heightened tactile enjoyment, getting a massage, eating a good meal, and taking the time to enjoy it. Buying a candle that smells nice or taking a walk in nature and enjoying simple physical pleasures are all ways to celebrate the Taurus new moon. Celebrating the Taurus new moon is very similar to some of the festivals that we have going on this month. Carrie, do you want to tell us about those and how we celebrate them?
Sure. But first, I did look online about the pink moon because that's not something that I don't always go and search and research what each of the moon names mean. According to the Farmer's Almanac in the book, it talks about the pink full moon got its name for the pink phlox that grows in the eastern part of North America.
Okay.
So for us in the Southeast, it's purple. It's like a blue purple. But I'm interested. Yeah, maybe there's some other places throughout the world that have pink flowers or something to make it such a generalized statement.
The moon was actually pink. It was pink as orange.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. Violet noticed that last night when we were riding home from soccer in Horse. Back to festivals. This episode, Elle and I will elaborate on all things Beltane, May Day, and the Roman festival Floralia. While Ostara, Beltane, and Floralia celebrate the arrival of spring and the renewal of life and its cycles, each have distinct cultural and historical origins, with their own set of traditions and differences. I bring up Ostara from our previous episode to highlight the transition from one Sabbath to another, allowing us to explore the similarities and differences among them, all while emphasizing the importance of honoring and respecting the earth. So, as we said in the previous episode, Ostara marks the spring equinox, the balance between day and night, symbolizing eggs, rabbits, and spring flowers. Originating from Germanic traditions, Ostara was adopted by the Celts too, and is one of the Wheel of the Year Sabbats, like Beltane. Beltane is a Celtic originating festival celebrated on May 1st, but it marks a little bit more of the beginning of summer. In addition to spring themes like fertility, growth, and the union of god and goddess, activities include dancing around a maypole, bonfires, feasts, and the crowning of the May Queen and King. Floralia, in my opinion, is like a accumulation of both. It's an ancient Roman festival in honor of the goddess Flora, the goddess of spring and flowers. She also does vegetation and is a protector of meadows and fields. But in particular, the specific flower is roses. While not considered a Sabbath due to its non-Germanic or Celtic origin, Floralia is, however, a 6-day Roman festival held from April 28th through May 3rd. The festival was known for its colorful celebrations and clothes, including games and theatrical performances, feasts, lighting torches at night, dancing, singing, and offering of flowers, milk, and honey to the goddess. So why am I mentioning Floralia? Well, my youngest was researching surnames for a school project. He found out that surnames were often given by the occupation they performed. So he decided to include my surname with his own research. So the surname Rosato is derived from the Italian word rosa, which means rose. Rosato has a rich connection to agriculture, particularly to rose farming and the world of wine. In Italian, Rosato also means rosé, which some of you may know is a type of wine made from red grapes, where the grape skins are only in contact with the grape juice for a short period of time, resulting in a pinkish or rosé color. Additionally, he found it's likely that my family honored the goddess Flora during a period of time. This discovery led me to spend another uncertain amount of time going down the rabbit hole of mythology and customs. I don't know if it's a Taurian thing, but yeah, Ethan and I very much will go down rabbit holes all the time researching stuff. When I found out Floralia was during my birthday and overlaps with Beltane, I knew it was going to be something I was going to bring into my traditions. So before we go into Beltane, let's look into the mythology of Flora, the goddess. The goddess Flora flourished as the radiant deity of flowers, vegetation, fertility, and the rejuvenating powers of spring. As a nymph named Chloris in Greek mythology, she was the daughter of the Titan god Pallas and the nymph Oceanid. Chloris caught the attention of Zephyr, or Zephyrus, the god of the west wind, with her grace and beauty. Their union blossomed, leading Chloris to be transformed into Flora, the goddess of flowers. As Flora, she was bestowed with divine power to oversee the blooming of the flowers and the fertility of the fields. She reigned over fields and meadows. Her presence was felt in the vibrant colors of spring blossoms, the fertile soil of the fields, and the sweet scent of blooming flowers that filled the air. Flora and Zephyr had a son named Carpus, who was the god of fruits. Carpus represents the bounty and abundance that Flora brought to the world through her nurturing and fertile energies. In the most notable tales involving Flora, she assists the goddess Juno in her quest to conceive a child. Juno, also known as Hera, was upset that Jupiter/Zeus had given birth to Minerva, which is also known as Athena, from his head without her involvement. In her desire to have a child of her own, Juno sought Flora's help. Flora provided Juno with a magical flower. Some sources say it was foxglove, but I can't confirm that.
Foxglove is wildly toxic, so...
Right? Well, they pressed it against her belly, and somehow she got impregnated, so she didn't ingest it.
Okay.
Yes, some sources say, which had the power to grant fertility and ensure successful conception. With Flora's assistance, Juno was able to conceive and give birth to Mars, the god of war. In addition, some sources stated that when Juno experienced difficulties during labor, Flora intervened and provided Juno with the herb lunarwort, or fast-growing clover, often referred to as parsley. I'm not sure if you have anything. Does parsley help and aid labor? I'm very curious when they state some of the herbs and stuff in mythology, if there's actually any basis. Like you said, foxglove is pretty toxic.
Yeah, I don't know about clover or parsley. I do know that red clover will thin your blood, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to help you in childbirth.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to do some more research, or if people know, let us know on our Instagram page. But Flora's mythology and worship reflected the Romans' deep reverence for the cycles of nature, the importance of agriculture, and the fertility that sustains their lives. Through her festivals and rituals, Flora continued to celebrate as a beloved goddess, embodying the hope, renewal, and growth that accompanied the arrival of spring.
So as you were saying, Beltane is celebrated on May 1st, and it marks the halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. It's a time of fertility, abundance. Very interesting that the story of Floralia is helping Juno get pregnant. Isn't that the whole May Day woo festival situation? Remember when we got our tattoos and our tattoo artist was saying that's how she ended up pregnant, was on a May Day celebration?
I mean, historically, what happens on May Day
stays on May Day.
Yes. Is that also why it's my favorite holiday?
It could be. So, yeah, the awakening of nature after the dormancy of winter. Traditionally, Beltane associated with fire rituals, dancing around the maypole, and celebrating the union of the god and goddess, symbolizing the fertile energy of the earth. I was first introduced to the concept of May Day when I lived in Hawaii. In modern-day Hawaii, Beltane's themes of fertility and abundance resonate deeply with the cultural traditions of the May Day festival, also known as Lei Day. Lei Day in Hawaii, also celebrated on May 1st, is a vibrant celebration of Hawaiian culture, unity, and the beauty of nature. One of the central elements of Lei Day is the lei. It is a necklace of flowers. It's a symbol of love, friendship, and aloha spirit. People in Hawaii create and exchange leis made from flowers, leaves, and other natural materials, honoring the connection between humans and the natural world. I find it fascinating that nature-based cultures across the globe found similar ways to celebrate this time of year, but I will mention that Lei Day is a fairly new holiday in Hawaii. It started in 1928, and I suspect it had something to do with the colonization of Hawaii and their culture and working it into the colonial system. Modern May Day celebrations in Hawaii bring together traditional Hawaiian symbolism and contemporary pageantry. The symbols employed in these celebrations are colors. Each island had their own color, and they typically make leis with those colors on May Day.
And Flora was always seen with garland around, not just her, or like a flower crown, but also garland around her neck. So there's that similar symbolism there between that.
Yes, I do feel like that's really interesting. So I'm guessing flowers is a good way to decorate your altar.
Right? Some other ways to decorate your altar. Colors associated with both festivals are actually quite similar. Red, greens, yellow, light blue, and white, with white being for Beltane, are colors to incorporate in your clothes, altars, or decorations. Flowers. Flowers are key. Can I not stress that enough? Flowers are key. I would highly recommend roses for Floralia, since that is a flower that is always associated with flora. Yellow cowslip, lily of the valley, lilac, hyacinth, daisies, and roses work well for Beltane as well. You can also look for incense in those various scents. For decorations, during Floralia, participants would often raise hares and goats to symbolize fertility. I think finding a creative symbol of those two animals would work well. Kind of similar to a star.
Yeah, it's like a progression, right?
It is. So again, don't forget the flowers. Like I said before, flowers are key. So flowers everywhere. This is the time, like I feel like out of any Sabbath festival, anything you celebrate, this is the time to go over the top with flowers. Put that everywhere. Pretend you were walking through a garden in your house, outside, whatever. Sprinkle flower petals on your front lawn. Make it fun, colorful, and have a great time.
I do want to mention one thing that I have felt inspired to do. I have no reason to back this up, and I have not seen this anywhere except for my intuition. Those earrings that I have bought, I'm going to bring them to our brunch and put them on the altar, like the group altar, to charge them. If you make an altar, I do feel like it's a good time to charge your jewelry, not just your stones, but
it's a very Taurean thing,
right?
I mean, I'm crazy about accessories.
Anything that you're using to adorn yourself with, I feel like can be charged with the May Day altar.
Yeah, that's really cool. I might do that. I really like that idea. I would consider like a statue, picture, or other depiction of Floralia or Sununnos for Beltane. Now we get to the food, my favorite part. Milk, honey cakes, fresh fruit, wine, grains, breads, olive oil spreads, cheeses, yogurts, legumes, and edible flowers are often depicted with flora, while Beltane has oatmeal cakes, bannock, which is pan-fried flatbread, and similar to Floralia, dairy. And then you have fruits like strawberries, cherries, and spring greens.
I vote for Floralia food.
Right? Yeah, the pan-fried flatbread. No, I mean, not dissing anyone, but honey cake sounds a little bit better than oatmeal cakes. Although I do love cherries. For mystical gemstones and jewels to carry with you or to put on your altar, I had so much fun picking these ones out. So malachite.
She even has a spreadsheet.
I do. Because how often, all right, Google right now, Google any Sabbath, any festival, ask them what kind of gemstones, and I guarantee you they only pick like 10 stones total out of all of them, and a lot of them overlap.
No, I totally agree with you. I love this idea.
So I'm like, I need to do better. I want to really research on what stones are how I feel, very specific to what you want to do for that Sabbath. So malachite is known for alleviating menstrual cramps and facilitating in childbirth. This being called the midwife stone. This stone clears and activates the chakras, brings balance and harmony to the heart, thus opening it to love. It encourages risk-taking, alleviating shyness, and encouraging socialization. This screams Floralia to me. It is Flora assisting Juno. In regards to Beltane, it's also the time of year that the maiden becomes the mother. That malachite brings balance and rebirth and this type of confidence and socialization needed for these festivals. I mean, historically, people are dancing naked. They are partnering up. They are declaring their love. They are hand fasting and jumping over the fire. They are singing. They are feasting. There's flowers everywhere. It's like the joy of life and everything that comes with it. And that you need to be very like confident, and you need to really want to socialize to dance with people. So it is a time of love. So I feel like, yeah, this was my choice. But yeah, it's great for the third eye and the solar plexus if you're looking to align certain chakras. And this brings me to emerald, another beautiful green stone. This one is known as the stone of successful love. It brings bliss and loyalty, very Taurean. Like malachite, it enhances unconditional love, socialization, and partnership. Additionally, it keeps partners in good balance. It's good for the heart chakra, and it's said to alleviate issues with sinuses, lungs, and soothing the eye, which with many common issues this time of year, I know a lot of people have issues with blooming of the flowers and pollen and everything. So
it's called allergies.
It is called allergies. It is called allergies. It is called sinus infections. It's lovely. Just kidding.
I do know clover is good for that. You can make an eye wash with clover.
Ooh,
make
okay.
a tea and then put a towel in it, make a compress and put it on your eyes.
Put it on your eyes. Okay, so heat up some clover like a tea, place a cloth in and place it on your eyes. I like that. And our final stone, citrine, it's said to be carrying the power of the sun. It's considered warming and boasts creativity. This stone is a powerful cleanser and regenerator. Citrine dissipates negative energy, perfect for the joyfulness of Beltane and Floralia. It promotes joy and life. It's also known as the merchant stone for its ability to bring success to business and trade. So maybe carry citrine with you when you do your money spell, your abundance spell. It's great for the crown, solar plexus, and navel chakras. And an honorary mention, which I will not get into detail because it's very redundant, is another stone I feel like is appropriate is rose quartz. How often do you hear this one? But out of every Sabbath, I'm telling you, rose quartz is it.
Just get a big rose quartz and just let it live on
rose
your
quartz.
altar.
But the whole thing, heart chakra, all about unconditional love.
Right.
It kind of overlaps malachite and emerald, but it's worth having if you want to put it on there.
I do want to mention something about citrine. If you want to put it on your altar, that's fine. I do think it is an advanced stone for wearing because it is a strong solar plexus stone. Like, when I wear citrine, like, I will get in fights with people. Like, sometimes the energy of that stone is very strong. It will attract Karens. I'm just saying. I've had this happen several times, and the only, like, common factor is I was wearing I have a big piece of citrines. I don't wear that anymore. Like, I'll take it out and put it on my altar. I'm just saying, like, other people might have different experiences. But that one, I really feels like it is the sun. So it's also the ego, right? So I really do feel like that energy can press on people's egos. Just throwing that out there.
So Leos might do well wearing citrate. They might be one of the signs that can handle it.
Right? It's just, that's something I would play caution with. Just throwing that out there. Moving on to plants.
Potions.
The obvious flower choice for this month is the rose. Here in the South, they are in full bloom and they're lovely as ever. They're really, I noticed them at the city farm when I went down there. They're just in your face and big and beautiful. With their beauty and intoxicating aroma, it's no wonder they have been the subject of poetry and art for ages. The flower itself may be dainty, but let's take a closer look at its morphology. This is not a dainty plant. It's big, it's viney, it's woody, and it can take up a lot of space. Pretty to look at, but if you get too close and act unconsciously, rose possesses the ability to prick you, just like an angry Taurus. The thorns are also a good reminder to have and be respectful of boundaries. Venus and Taurus are associated with aphrodisiacs, and rose is a good one. Its popularity is almost too successful. I know people who don't like roses just because everybody else likes roses. So.
That's my whole red rose thing for Valentine's Day. Yes.
Coincidentally, it is good for the heart. It helps lower blood pressure, and it's also an astringent. So as far as medicine, astringency causes that puckering in the mouth. If you've ever tasted like black tea that's steeped too long, you know what I'm talking about. But astringents are good at tightening and toning, which is why you see rose or rose water in a lot of face cleansers.
Now everyone's going to put it all over their body. You
basically
told them to bathe in rose water, and they're going to come to you and be like, why isn't this area tightening and toning? Thank you.
I mean, results vary.
Here's the list of
It's not FDA approved. Okay. So rose shines as a wound healer and tightening and toning the skin. And as I mentioned, rose has a wonderful scent, and it's often used in aromatherapy. So now, the not so obvious plant for this month is Gallium aperine, also known as cleavers. It literally sticks to you. Or bed straw, from its days of exactly how this sounds. It was a bed stuffing. Native to most of Europe, this one pops up in early spring in garden beds throughout most of the United States, Canada, Mexico, Central America, all the way to Australia, New Zealand, and parts of Africa. Cleavers are an annual with creeping, straggly stems, and they branch out when they grow along, and they kind of like cling to other plants. It's like a long stem with whorled leaves, and basically they grow from one central point as like a circle out. So there'll be like 5 to 7 small leaves, all forming a circle around the stem, if that makes sense. They can get up to 3 feet. If you Google cleavers or Gallium aperine, you'll see it and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I see this thing everywhere. They have tiny star-shaped flowers that are white to greenish colors. They emerge in the early spring, and the flowers form little cluster groups in 2 to 3. And and they have 4 petals. And my favorite part about cleavers is their fruit. They're globular and they look like a set of balls. Not even kidding.
I'm seeing the imagery right now.
So the reason I picked this is, as much as like love in all things, woo, we have all had that person who kind of clings to you, right? That like person who's like a little too much, loves you a little too much, or doesn't know how to take a hint. And when things can be kind of out of balance, they are clingy, like cleavers.
And they have balls.
And they have balls. They usually have balls. Well, I thought of the bull too. Like, I'm like, this is just such an appropriate plant. Perfect. And you can make crowns with it. You can like, it's like Velcro-y. It has like little, I don't want to say claws, but like there's like little hooks all over this plant. And you can use it to make crowns and go around the garden and take flowers and stick it to it. It'll just stay there. Like, it's super easy.
It's Velcro.
It is Velcro. Medicinally, cleavers is one of our premier lymphatic cleaners. Our lymphatic system does not have a pump, so we need to help it out. Exercise is one way, and herbs are another. Cleavers help stimulate lymphatic drainage that our bodies really needs after winter when we don't exercise as much, we're not outside as much, and we're usually eating heavier or richer foods. And how you do this is you just get a bunch of it and juice it and take a shot like you would wheatgrass. It's not the best tasting thing, but I feel it immediately when I do it. I'm like, ooh. And it's also a really good blood cleanser. So speaking of taking shots of juice and spending more time in nature, now that it's warming up, what can we do outside nature to celebrate Beltane?
So I'm going to keep this environmentally light because this time of year is about having fun. Sing and dance around the maypole, sit by the fire, feast, declare your love by hand fasting or jump over the small fire, or pick your partner and have a little bit of fun. I mean, we don't always have to be committed.
That's not in the script, Kerri.
It's not in the script. I am freeballing it. No, I'm just kidding.
So the cleavers.
Right? I'm getting all sorts of things now. So gather flowers. Look for those cleavers for flower crowns and flower garlands. Do you own a farm? Can you invite me, please? Because I really want to attend a hare or goat race. And I know that our state fair often does like pig races and duck races in October. How can we help each other, folks? How can you help me and me help you? And get some hare and goat races up in this, up in here. I'm willing to travel. So as far as the environment, mental health, and having fun, try tending to your garden or a community garden. Help plant seeds or sow seeds outside. Learn about healthier garden practices. The most important thing is to take the moment to observe the beauty of nature. From the pitter-patter of wildlife, the chirps of the birds, to the nourishing waters, the warmth of the sun, and finally the blossoming flowers with their sweet smells and scents. Let's celebrate the joy of life and all that earth gives us.
All right, well, I have gotten myself into a pickle because it says L outro conclusion, and I wrote absolutely nothing. But what you just said was absolutely beautiful, so I don't think that I really need to say anything more.
Okay, well, I mean, folks, this is the part of a podcast where you do a conclusion and an action statement. So
go outside and have fun.
Go outside and have fun.
Okay, so you want an action statement? Here's the idea I had in yoga yesterday. Okay. If you are female or have female parts or associate yourself as female, all of the things, if you have a working uterus, or you could do this with moods. It doesn't necessarily have to be your cycle.
Your feminine side.
Your feminine side. Tap into your feminine side because Taurus is all of these sensual things and the sister sign Scorpio rules over the regenerative system. I think it's really interesting. I have been keeping track of my menstrual cycle and where in the moon cycle it lines up. So you could also do this with emotions, with like a bullet journal situation and just like make each emotion a different color and fill in that every day and kind of see like where your upswing is, where your downswing is, and see where it aligns with the moon cycle. And then using that information, like if your cycle is around the new moon, you're in like a seed planting time in your life, and really think about that energy of what you want to create, because it's not going to stay there, right? It's going to gently shift a couple days because no one's like exactly in line with the moon.
Yeah.
Or if it's in the full moon, what are you celebrating? Or if it's in like the
first quarter,
first quarter, what are you actively doing to pursue your goals?
Oh, that makes sense. That's why last year mine was on the full moon. I did all the celebrating and the travel and graduation, and now first quarter. You're right. It's shifted to first quarter.
So mine is waxing or waning gibbous. So it's release and let go. So I'm looking at what I can release and let go of. And I'm having that through physical things in my body, through emotional things. So that is my action statement. Do that for a couple months and see where you're at and see how it correlates. And then let me know, because I'm interested.
Yes. And if you're like, well, how am I supposed to do that without a uterus and I don't have menstrual cycles? Like she said, think about your emotions. Think about where you're feeling frustrated or any of those feelings are at your hiatus, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
And see if that lines up with any of the moons. And that might give you an indication of what phase you are working in.
Right. So you could pick like 5 or 6 emotions and assign a color to each one. And then just for every day, fill in that color. Which emotion were you feeling the most that day? Were you feeling content? Were you feeling a little ragey? Were you feeling happy? Were you feeling a little depressed? And then kind of see like where there's like a concentration of energy, which one that is, and where the moon cycle is that month. Or you could overlay the whole moon cycle to those days and see if there's any patterns.
Ciao. Salud. Adios. And that brings us to the end of another soul-soothing journey with Seasonal Reflections. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to show us some love. Hit that like button, subscribe to our podcast for more enriching content, and join the Seasonal Reflections community on Instagram at Seasonal Reflections.
Looking to infuse your days with the perfect seasonal sounds? Find our curated playlists on Spotify by searching Seasonal Reflections. From vibrant Beltane melodies to the cozy tunes of Yule, we've got the soundtrack to accompany every moment. Your support means the world to us.
Until next time, fellow nature lovers and cosmic dreamers,
stay rooted, stay curious, and most importantly,
stay wild.